Number 1. This literally just took place no more than 30 minutes prior to me typing this. I am tripping complete balls. Necessary background information. This will be vague, as now I feel so beyond uncomfortable sharing even the slightest of my personal information on the internet during this sensitive time. I work night shifts, basically fulfilling the role of a secretary. I am always at my workplace, completely alone throughout the entire night. And I am generally a paranoid person as is, especially given A, the experiences that I've had in life, and B, the vulnerability I face by doing this job. Although there are very quality safety protocols intact for anyone fulfilling this particular role at my workplace. Also, not necessarily relevant, but I am a 120-pound female in my early 20s. For the past several weeks, I have been feeling particularly paranoid at my job for unexplained reasons. It was, and as is, at the point where I no longer engage in listening to music or podcast while I work, something that I did nightly prior to the arise of this unexplained gut feeling. As is, there are plenty of loud noises within my environment at all times, or at least they sound particularly loud when everything is otherwise eerily silent. And within the last little bit, I was suddenly and inexplicably feeling too frightened and on edge to risk the thought of me not being able to hear my surroundings. Another detail that is important to this story is that there are windows everywhere in this building, and they're always to be left with the blinds open, as per the request of the employer. Naturally, I chalked my growing anxiety up to the window situation, as this has made me uncomfortable since day one. The only place in the building in which I am granted permission to close the blinds is the office that I use nightly. Unfortunately, this office is not front-facing, and even with the blinds closed, it would be an easily accessible point, alongside being one of the only locations in the building that would have the lights on during the evening hours. Anyways, tonight, I basically said, to hell with it, and closed the fuck out of those blinds. Tonight, single-handedly, my paranoia and anxiety was at a record high, and I could not do anything without feeling the need to look over my shoulder. And tonight, I am required to complete tasks that involve me moving throughout the building. I had peeped out of the open blinds probably dozens upon dozens of times this evening due to my peaked paranoia, and was unable to see anyone at all or anything out of the ordinary. Eventually, I convinced myself to calm down and left my main work area to perform some of my tasks at hand. When I returned, I could visualize an entire silhouette of a man, standing no more than 3 feet from one of the windows. I didn't visibly react at first, although I was trepidated. Trying to not draw attention to the fact that I spotted him, I continued my small task I had at hand. He took several photos of me. I could see the flash on his phone camera, and he stood there for minutes taking photos in between the small cracks of the wooden blinds. I panicked and locked myself in a room containing no windows and not wanting to overreact, but still trying to downplay the situation. But internally, I am absolutely losing my shit. I just continued to do my job shortly after. But not even 5 minutes later, a completely unrecognizable to me man in his late 50s begins banging on the glass doors. There are 2 sets of doors in place, and foolishly and in the most intimidated state, I unlocked and walked through the first door. He was yelling at me, and I was in a state of utter dread. We are now face to face with nothing separating us but a thin pane of glass. And this man starts demanding that I let him in to use the vending machine in our lobby. Well, spoiler alert, we don't have a vending machine. When I refused him access to the building, he began to go berserk, taking more photos of me, obviously assuming without sound reason that this had to be the same man before. And worse yet, during his fit of rage in which he was slamming his fist against the glass doors, he called me by my first name. And I do not wear a name tag or any type of identifier. This is being currently dealt with appropriately by my employer and the police. Number 2. It was spring semester of my freshman year of college, and it was a few weeks into my new school schedule. I had found a nice routine on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I would head over to the dorm cafeteria after getting ready to eat my breakfast and then leave to go to my first class. I preferred to eat alone so I could be on my own time and work on homework or do some studying. On one of these mornings, I could feel eyes on me from across the cafeteria, and I avoided eye contact and just continued eating and then left. A few mornings later, while I was eating, a young guy approached me and asked if he could join me. Up for making new friends, I said sure. He was a nice guy and very eager. I was happy to talk to him for that one morning, and I thought this was just a nice little conversation, and we parted ways once I had to head out to class. I could tell he was very nervous, but hey, good for him. He had approached me, and that can be hard to do for most people. Next time, I had that same morning class, and I went to the cafeteria at my usual time, and he was already there, sitting at the table we were at 2 days prior, waiting for me. As I filled up my coffee cup, he noticed me and seemed excited to see me. I immediately felt uncomfortable that he would ambush my morning breakfast without my permission, but being the nice Midwestern girl that I am, I went and sat with him. This continued on for the next week, him waiting expectantly for me and us having small talk conversation. I grew increasingly creeped out. I would dread these mornings and try to arrive earlier or later so that maybe he wouldn't be there. But he was always there, waiting. It had gotten to the point where he expected me to arrive, and if I was late, he would ask why. He would ask about my school schedule and try to get together outside of our morning meetups that I hadn't agreed to in the first place. But of course, I didn't have the balls to tell him to leave me alone. While getting ready on one of these mornings, I decided I had enough. So I decided to skip the cafeteria and grab a muffin and coffee from a nearby coffee shop on campus. It was so nice to reclaim my mornings and lose this clingy guy that I continued to do this for the rest of the semester. For the first few weeks, I wondered if he would be upset with me and was worried that he may, retaliate. But at the same time, I had to remind myself that I didn't owe him anything. I made sure my friends knew all about him, and my boyfriend at that time knew about him too. I showed them his picture just so they were in the loop. About a month later, I was walking on campus when I saw him in a crowd of students. The feeling I got when I knew he saw me was in the pit in my stomach. He called my name. I did a little wave, then quickly walked in a different direction. The rest of the semester, I walked around campus, always keeping an eye out for him. He had dyed his hair out to one point, so he was easy to spot. Anytime I would see him, I would start sweating and get nervous. I'll never forget that creepy feeling he gave me. Fast forward to senior year, I was on Facebook when I saw and had a random message from him. I opened it to see he had sent a short message with a link. The message said he hoped I would enjoy this video he made for his final film degree project. A bit perturbed but intrigued, I clicked the link and it took me to a 15-minute homemade film posted on YouTube. The video opened with a whimsical music. The camera was focused on a coffee shop. The same coffee shop on campus that I frequented. He appeared on screen, ordered a coffee, and sat down. Suddenly, a girl enters the shop, orders, and sits down at a nearby table. The camera focused on his face as he watched her from behind, take a sip, and then grab her book and head out. The film skipped to another day where he again just sat, watching her, and finally he gets up, gets the courage to approach her, and the viewer is able to see the girl for the first time. The actress looked just like me. Similar hair, skin tone, and smile. She introduced herself to him with my own name. When he asked questions to her, she replied with my exact answers. She kept flipping her long hair and smiling, and he looked entranced. The music swells like when the characters in The Sims fall in love or make out. The talking faded away, and the camera focused on both of their smiling faces. While I watched, I realized he had a completely different impression of our encounters. In his world, my answers to his general questions made him feel like I was flirting with him. Then, the film skipped forward and implied that the two met often, until one day, she doesn't show up, and again the next day. She still doesn't show up. The look on his face was disturbing. He wasn't just sad, he was upset. The camera then follows him to his apartment where he proceeds to look her up on Facebook. He finds her profile. My own personal profile showed up at the top of the searched history and is looking through her pictures while he smiled. He then stops when he sees the status in our relationship. The music stops and he breathes deeply. Suddenly, he screams, wails, and throws his computer keyboard across the room. It was cringy and uncomfortable to watch. He then gathers himself and then, with the help of his roommate, hatches a plan. He wants to show her how much he loves her, or how he will do anything for her. He goes to the roof of a building and proclaims his love for her. Then he yells, "This one's for you!" And then he shouts my name. He takes a breath and jumps off the building. Silence. The film faded to black as the whimsical music returned and ran the credits. I watched the video with my heart pounding. I was so disturbed to know an innocuous few meetups could leave him feeling so intensely about me. I am glad I trusted my gut and never met up with him outside the dorm cafeteria. I then promptly blocked him on all social media. I haven't heard of him since then, considering he has no way to contact me, but I am nervous about his posting this in case there is any way he sees it. But surely this is all over now. It's been almost 10 years, but the video is still online. I just checked. Number 3. Okay, so last year around this time, it all began. For my past circumstance, last year on a Saturday night, shortly after 1 a.m., I heard someone creep up my staircase. I live in a 2-story home on the 2nd floor, and I heard the cracking of the wood steps. I paused my TV show, and I listen. I hear it some more. Then I hear a long pause. Then nothing. Then I hear my doorknob jiggling. So I freak out. I know it's not the woman downstairs because she's gone for the night. I went straight to the door. I have one of those doors where it's half glass window because I live in a tiny town and my upstairs staircase is covered, so technically no one can see inside unless they are standing right at the door. And even at that, all they can see is part of my doorway into the bedroom and my hallway, nothing more. So I had the light on at that door inside, and outside the light was off. So when I went to the door, I couldn't see out of it. I couldn't see who was there, and when I showed myself at the door, obviously the doorknob stopped jiggling. because I made my presence known, and they could obviously fully see me because the lights were on. I shut the inside lights off real quick as an attempt to see who was out there, but it took my eyes too long to adjust. And as I shut the lights off, I simultaneously hit the second lock on my door. And that's when the person on the other side of the door started banging on it. I couldn't see who it was, and quite honestly, once the banging started, I just bolted, and so did they. So I tried to look out my windows to catch a glimpse of who it could be, but I couldn't see anything. The exit of the staircase is too close to my house for me to have a full view from the second floor, which is a shame, I know. So, I called the cops and filed a report, and all was good in the world. I equipped my home with wasp spray hidden in every corner. I did develop major anxiety over it though, like major anxiety. I have never ever been afraid to live alone before this, but I have worked through it for the most part and have gotten better since this last year. I even got a camera that I have at my door that streams to an app on my phone. Now, let's go to the ongoing minor issues. In the last couple of months, I have been having issues though. I park in the little lot across the street. The little lot belongs to the church I live next to. However, I am allowed to park there, and I keep finding the sides of my license plates completely bent outwards at a 90-degree angle every morning. I know because I put them back in place every day, so the plates are flat because you can't drive around with your plates like that. And pretty much every day of the week, I go outside to find my plates bent back again. I know it's not the wind, and I know it doesn't happen while I'm driving because I check. My dad, however, has convinced me that it could be the car wash. I get my car washed at least once a week or two, and it's the kind where you just pay in a machine and sit in your car, so I pushed it off. But then, recently, I came home to find 3 things on a little shelf I keep outside of my door. 2 small crystal bowls and a little flower pot with a golden retriever on it. At first, I thought, oh, my sister or grandma probably just left it for me. I texted them about it, and they both said they didn't leave anything. They both live on my block, so I thought it would be probable for them to just do that. But both of them said it wasn't them. Then my next thought would be that it's my mom. See, anytime my mom gets me stuff, she leaves it on her front sunroom, which she calls her porch. So she will always text me a pic of what she got and say, "It's here on the porch, get it when you stop by next." In the year and a half I've lived in this apartment, she has never left something on my porch. Also, my camera was dead, so I texted her about it and she didn't answer, which is like my mom. If it doesn't pertain to her, she doesn't answer. Also, I'm slightly confused about the golden retriever planter because everyone knows I'm a cat person, and that's what everyone who knows me gets me. What happened tonight? Tonight at 1:19 a.m., I was in my bedroom texting my sister when I heard banging on my door again. The lady who lives downstairs is gone for the night again. This exact same thing happened a year ago too. A Saturday night, right after 1 a.m., all the lights in my apartment were on, so they knew that I was home. If they wanted to break in, they could have. If they wanted my valuables, they had 60 hours out of a week every week this last year to do so. But no, whoever is messing with me just wants to mess with me. I didn't know what to do. My phone was on the other side of the apartment, and I couldn't get to it without going past the door. So I told my sister through text on my laptop, and she called the cops for me. They arrived, and I knew because I saw them searching the property with their flashlights, and I met them at the door. I filed a report, and I noped out of there, and now I am sleeping at my sister's house for the night. But this is seriously freaking me out. Someone is messing with me in a very serious way. They know when I'm home, they know when I'm up, they know when the woman who lives downstairs is gone, and they know the camera isn't charged. Coincidentally, these things keep happening when my camera isn't charged, which takes hours to do, and I am so paranoid of leaving something charged while I am asleep or not home. I don't have any enemies in the area, and I don't really know anyone in this town except for a coworker or two, my landlord, and my family, whom is new to the area as well. I don't have any ex-boyfriends trying to scare me, and I haven't fought with anyone who is trying to get revenge on me. But I should mention that about 9 or 10 years ago, I did have a bit of a stalker situation. A 55-year-old man who lived adjacent to my job. He came in every day for a year. We never spoke directly or had a convo, but he would leave me notes on my car. The first one he left me was a 5-page letter speaking about our compatibility with one another. He mentioned things in the letter, and I would speak about it with other customers in regards to our compatibility. He even mentioned that he believes he could sexually please me, something along the lines of how I am a special person and he has what it takes, and it's the kind of special that most people don't have what it takes. He would leave me crystal antique hearts on my car. But anyways, I got a restraining order on him and he was no longer allowed to enter my job. He would occasionally stare at me through the cracks in his blinds, and that was about it. I moved out of state and nothing ever happened out of it. So that could be a possibility too.
Hi everybody, it's your creepy older sister here. Thank you so much for listening. You have no idea how I appreciate this. Since the channel is fairly new though, I would like to hear some comments or suggestions from you so that I can continuously improve my coming videos. If you want to know what the name of the channel means, you can check out the description below. If you want to send me stories to read, you can also check out my email and send it there. It's also in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can grow together here, and I'll definitely try my best to upload more each week. Once again, thank you very, very much. And to all the creepy experiences, bad vibes, scary people, and paranormal encounters, together we say to them, Tabi-tabi po.